2017 시마스터 국제탁구연맹 월드투어 코리아 오픈 남자 단식 준결승 제2경기를 시작하겠습니다.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second men's singles semi-final of Seamaster 2017 ITTF World Tour Korea Open.
자, 모두 박수 부탁드립니다.
Please welcome the player with the big applause.
프란치스카
Franziska Patrick from Germany,
나이 24세,
age 24 years old,
코리아 오픈 25번 시드,
seeded number 25,
세계 랭킹 69위,
world ranking 69,
2015 세계 선수권 대회 8강,
quarterfinal of World Championship 2015.
큰 박수 부탁드립니다.
Please welcome the player with the big applause.
한국 임종훈,
Lim Jonghoon from Korea,
나이 20세,
age 20 years old,
코리아 오픈 38번 시드,
seeded number 38,
세계 랭킹 125위,
world ranking 125,
2016 벨라루스 오픈 8강,
quarterfinal of Belarus Open 2016.
중국 주신 홍콩 라이시 요청,
Umpire for the match, Lai Xiucheng from Hong Kong.
부신 중국 두리핑,
Assist umpire, Du Liping from China.
Annyeonghaseyo and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Seamaster 2017 ITTF World Tour Korea Open, coming to you live from Incheon, Korea. I'm your commentator, Adam Bobrow, and with me, former national team player for over a decade and several-time national champion from Romania. It's Yulia Nekula. How you doing, Yulia?
Hi, Adam. Hi, everybody. Happy to be here. Transmitting live from Korea.
That's true, we are. Namdong Gymnasium. And speaking of Korea, we've got the last standing hope for the Korean fans here. LIM Jonghoon playing now against Patrick Franziska of Germany. LIM Jonghoon is really the man to watch this tournament. Last week in the Asian Championships, it was Jung Sang-un who beat Ma Long and many others, including Koki Niwa, to move on to the men's singles final. LIM Jonghoon trying to do the same thing here after winning the under-21 men's singles title. It would be an incredible performance, especially considering his current world ranking at 119 in the world. To not even be in the top 100 and have so many players here ahead of him. He had 37 players with better world rankings than him and has not been stopped yet. He's down to the final 4, and at this point, technically final 3. Patrick Franziska coming off of a 6-month injury with the hip and is just playing incredibly well. The best table tennis I've seen him play maybe ever. Christian Carlson to confirm the same from the commentator's booth after his match earlier, where he was dominated by Patrick Franziska. Christian said, LIM Jonghoon is going to have to play a lot better than I did to beat Patrick Franziska the way he's playing right now. So it'll be a fascinating experience to see how these two face off and who's going to win. I mean, no one's been able to stop either of them so far.
Lim Jonghoon had a very good tournament. He won under 21 the other day. And also, he's the only Korean to stand in these stages, as all the favorites of the host nation were losing in previous rounds.
So a little bit about Patrick Franziska. He was world number 69 when he left the world rankings. His best world ranking was 28. His coach there, Jorg Roskopf, in the corner. Doubles specialist and medalist at the Olympics. Also a strong singles player, still occasionally playing tournaments. And he's 24 years old, Patrick Franziska, that is. LIM Jonghoon only 20 years old. He's currently world number 19 and 38th seed in the tournament. There's his coach, Lee Sang-jun. Just to let you know who these players beat to get here, Patrick Franziska in the opening round beat Yuya Oshima. It's a big upset. Following that, Koki Niwa, an even bigger upset. And following that, Christian Carlson, which is definitely an upset. In that match, Patrick Franziska had won 2 times before, although recently, Christian Carlsen beat him in league play. Du Liping there from China, the assistant umpire. And the umpire for the match is Lai Su-chung. I didn't see on screen where from. Sounds quite similar. Well, no point in guessing. Narrowed it down to 2 countries. So we've got a left-handed player. Patrick Franziska has beaten left-handed players since Koki Niwa and Christian Carlsen. So this will be his 3rd left-handed player in a row. And one thing that Christian Carlsen said about Franziska was his receive of serve on the forehand side was just unstoppable. Christian Carlsen said, I usually get a lot of points with my service. And as we saw, he stuck with the same service for a long time and just really wasn't finding a lot of success with it. Wasn't finding many answers on the serve game. Franziska wasn't leaving a lot of options. Long serves he destroyed. Half long he destroyed with the forehand flip. I mean, he wasn't missing anything.
I'm curious if Franziska will use the same tactic as in the previous game.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a few similar tactics. See what serves he gets when he's on the receive. Long serve and a murderous backhand. What can you do against that? Not even a blink. Not a smile, not a smirk. First point of the game. First point of the match. Ooh. I don't know if he rolled his ankle or what, but on the way back, it seemed like he caught himself on the table. Let's see this one more time. Could only see the upper body there, so couldn't really see what was happening. Clearly rolling the ankle around, trying to stay loose for a minute. I'm watching him on the court. Don't normally look down at the court, usually just looking at the screen, but looks like he's trying to stay loose there.
Block 3.
As far as seedings go in world rankings, LIM Jonghoon having to play an even more impressive tournament than Patrick Franziska to make it this far. Just to let you know the players he's beat: Yuto Muramatsu 4-0, Zhuangzi Yuan 4-1. Wow, that backhand. Franziska, you know, we talked about his physique and his power earlier on. He just is going full force right now and not missing anything.
Full power.
And even backing off the table from the middle plays the wide angle.
We were talking before about his recovery after the hip injury. It looks like the last month, since he's back in the game, he's doing quite well, and he's very well prepared for this tournament and for the following tournaments as well.
Left. 1-5.
So I started to tell you at home about who LIM Jonghoon has beaten. Some of the Korean players watch and cheer from the crowd. After beating Zhuangzi Yuan from Taiwan, he moved on to beat Marcos Freitas from Portugal. 2 players who've recently been in the top 10 of the world. And one who still currently is. Definitely a powerful attempt. You know, we saw that backhand in the last round against Marcos Freitas. Such a high percentage shot. Very wristy, nice and fluid as he snaps through.
3-7.
And we've seen a lot of first games that are poor indicators for what will come in the rest of the match, Julia.
Right now, it's true that Franziska is leading totally the game. I don't know if LIM Jonghoon will be able to fight back, but we hope at least that after the first set he will get the bigger picture, and we'll find an antidote for Franziska.
Seems so comfortable in those counter loops, bringing the power in. Bit of topspin doesn't bother him at all right now. And I think that's an understatement. That's a low trajectory, deep on the table loop from the backhand. Franziska makes it look like batting practice.
He has been using that against Christian Carlsen as well. And it was very effective.
9-3.
Clever idea, softens it up, waits for it to drop off the side of the table. Surprising Franziska a little bit. Chop block, and he goes for the around the net shot, but just a little bit too low. That would have been a beautiful roller on the table. That wide chop block. This is the one that Koki Niwa does, and Fan Zhendong rolls around the net. 11-4. 11-4. German domination right now from Patrick Franziska.
He definitely knows how to play against left-handers. And he's very strong. He's very confident. And I think after his injury, the will of playing just makes him be stronger and find power where something that he didn't use for so long time, he's using right now in this tournament.
And what is that?
The will, the motivation, the strength, the power.
I see. Yeah, I think a lot of people, when they do, it's the same in many areas in life. You know, sometimes people have a near-death experience, which Franziska did not. But still, something that could be really harmful to your career. I mean, makes you thankful to have the opportunity. Like, it could have been worse. So he's here, and he's going to live it to the fullest. He's going to play with all his heart, and he's going to try not to be injured, but he's going to really take nothing for granted. That's how it appears.
That's what he said. The worst from his injury was not the pain, because he didn't experience pain. But staying without doing physical exercise, without table tennis, it was terrible for him. So I think once he was clear from the doctors, he started full capacity.
You have to wonder how much his injury that he didn't realize he had was actually affecting his play before he had it, and how long it had been there. As professional athletes, does your national association require you an annual physical?
I think it's 2 times a year.
2 times a year, okay. Softer shot, a little bit lower. This is what we saw from Lim when the ball was served off the side of the table. It's always funny to see the hair stand up when he walks back in and then just flops back down for a moment. Maybe the baby perm. I think that's a popular haircut in Korea.
Yeah, I've seen it very often here.
Seems like he's definitely changing his step out here, his tune, his tactics. Ooh. From behind the table, Franziska with the power, with the authority on that backhand. It's the most noise we've heard out of Lim Jonghoon, outside of positive shows and whatnot. He's starting to miss some shots that he's been used to making. Again, you have to remember that sometimes the quality of the ball coming from your opponent, it's not just you, right? It takes 2 to tango. This is the case for Miyu Hirano versus Kasumi Ishikawa. Completely changed her game out there.
When you're placing the ball just above the net without too much, it can be two difficulties. It can be either a lot of underspin or it can be without any spin. And if you position it there quite short in the forehand, it's difficult for the opponent to attack it. Again, the body language says it all.
Yeah, started off strong in this game, a 2-1 lead. His first point after a 5-point run from Patrick Franziska.
He's coming back.
He's making his moves now. Let's see, he's pulled off some big comebacks before. I think it was against Marcos Freitas. Game 1, he was down 5-10 and came back to win it.
7-4.
So he's trying to stay loose. See him bouncing the shoulders around a little bit. Very difficult ball again, low to the net, heavy topspin. Now Lim, I was talking about how mature his game was against Freitas, how impressed I was with his ability to soften the ball up and spin it when he noticed the opponent was back on the table, or when he was stuck in a position to play right into somebody's powerhouse, into their wheelhouse. He's playing a versatile game, and if he can play the way he did against Marcos Freitas, this match is going to be really close. Excellent misdirection, plays it back behind Franziska, but the serve sets it up. Subtle contact on the pendulum topspin serve. Not a lot of topspin, but it looked like Franziska thought there might have been even less on it.
8-6.
It's that flip, the forehand flip that Carlsen was talking about earlier. It's a big game right here for Lim to turn things around.
Very well received.
With those fast serves, we talked about it a little bit earlier. A fast, long serve, either side. Sometimes just having the racket up, a short stroke is enough. Faster it comes in, the faster it goes out. Such good touch, taking it so early off the bounce and the receive. Franziska just shutting down a pretty decent looking serve.
Franziska's receiving is very high quality.
Indeed.
11-7.
Not
There
only
it
the
is.
receive.
What's that?
And not only the receive.
Yeah, his whole game right now. I mean, he's shown us power from both sides. He takes game 2 11-7 here for a 2-0 lead over the last hope for the Korean men, the Koreans period.
We are pretty close of having a German final.
When's the last time you can recall an all-German final?
이쪽으로 넣어도 돼. 멀게. 근데 안 깎거나 돌릴 때는
I'm not
넣지 마.
sure.
잘 튀기니까.
Maybe you know
아니면
better than me.
튀기는 거 생각하고 있다 기다렸다가 걸어야
I have an
되는데.
idea or two, but I'm going to see if I can check.
안
Honestly,
나오잖아.
I'm not very good at statistics. Totally, you are in charge of that.
이거 할 거 아니야. 이거 하면
Well,
And
Ian
you-
Marshall's an
이렇게
encyclopedia.
딱 튀기니까.
Didier, what tournament referee, or tournament director, knows the
Competition
stuff.
manager.
Competition manager, that's the term.
I've shared the desk with both of them, with Yan in Qatar and with Didier here, and it's true. They know everything.
With a little bit of time, I hope to catch up to them.
너무 이 백만 하지 말고.
See, I'm looking back. It's been some time. I mean, I remember in Germany when Stefan Mengel beat Wang Hao. What an emotional victory. And you know, I know about Stefan Mengel beating Timo Boll in the past, but I'm just trying to think of a final.
Francisca to serve, love 4.
I don't know, I mean, with Timo Boll and Dmitry Ovtcharov, it seems possible, but I just can't remember them playing in a final recently for a World Tour event. Oh, beautiful play, redirecting the topspin, bringing some life into not only the crowd, but the commentators' booth. These are the types of points that Lim Jonghoon has been playing throughout this tournament. Now, if you look at, in this last point, where Franziska is, compared to where he was in the last point, he takes this shot from right near the table, just a step behind. The point before, Lim Jonghoon pushed him off the table a bit, had a little more time to react and redirect. As usual, he's gonna have to push the opponent off the table.
1-2.
Well executed long push there to surprise.
He gives a lot of underspin.
Forehand flip once again. The percentages are just, I don't know if uncanny is the perfect word, but really shockingly high right now for Franziska.
He alternates very well, receiving one-time downspin, one-time flip, so it's really confusing for the opponent.
Right, they don't know what they're gonna get.
4-1.
When he's that close to the table, the shots he's producing right now, Lim Jonghoon is gonna have a lot of work cut out for him to do something to just stop Franziska from getting into the point aggressively so early. Sometimes it's touch play. We talked about the pushes, staying short with the new ball on the table.
Net. 4-1. One, 5.
When I interviewed Lim Jonghoon in his under-21 competition, I think he was in semifinals, I was asking him about his objective for this tournament. I don't think he expected to reach this
1-6.
semifinal.
This was, you interviewed him during his semifinals for the under-21s? Yeah, who would have guessed? I mean, it's a complete, this is like jumping out of college and into the NBA. I mean, you're talking pros here with the biggest players in the world.
And his answer was just, well, I will just focus point by point, match by match, and whatever happens, happens. I will just give my best, and he gave his best.
I think that's textbook perfect. That's how you're supposed to play, right?
6-3.
I mean, this is part of the reason Marcos Freitas has done so well over the years in general, is that he, you know, as Christian Carlsen said, is grinding and really does play every point. I talked to Marcos Freitas a few years ago in Poland about what he does to improve his game. And he said sometimes you can focus on just one aspect, and if he gets one more point, Kim Min-suk in the audience there, you can get one more point per match playing a backhand receive. That's effective. These little improvements, the details add up.
4-7.
When you reach a certain level, only details can make a difference. And of course, we all dream to have huge improvements, but sometimes just a small one can make a difference.
Ooh, I thought the touch of Franziska was going to take that point for sure, but a break off the top of the net, an impressive touch from Lim Jonghoon. One more time. He's being very present. Again, for the not-so-experienced table tennis players, they're both trying to earn the first attack while keep their opponent from attacking.
7-6.
I get that question a lot from friends who aren't competitors. Why do these big guys play these dinky shots on the table? And the quality of the ball is really just sort of protecting the attack. This is very strategic play.
7-all.
And from the sound of the contact, it sounded just a little bit out of the comfort zone. You can feel the pressure starting to build on Franziska for probably the first time in this match for me. And we're seeing different body language and shot selection from Franziska. And also home court advantage.
7-8.
It's a big point right there to break the momentum for Franziska. Doesn't get much better than that. I thought for sure the point was won by LIM Jonghoon. Franziska plays it right back down the line. This is punishment from below the table, low to the net. That shot should be in the Franziska best of reel.
That can cost the game. This point.
And this you have to imagine has something to do with pressure and nerves. I mean, when a player is making shots that appear to be significantly more difficult than that last one, not completely handed to him, but gets an opportunity so sweet and can't capitalize. And a softer forehand receive on the flip. It's not as bold, not as confident as he's been using throughout this entire match and also against Christian Carlsen. One more point for LIM Jonghoon. And suddenly, this becomes a real match. Franziska's got a lot to think about. Might put a dent in his confidence. Not yet the step around, the commitment for the Chiquita. Beautiful receive from Franziska. That wrist. Fanjandong, Jangjika, Malong. We've seen that wrist before. Some people paving the way for a beautiful shot. Goes bold, but hits the net post, and it's LIM Jonghoon takes the point for another game point here. Wow. Really fighting to stay in the point to retrieve the ball before.
The long crossed forehand balls are not so surprisingly for LIM Jonghoon.
Changes up the placement, plays it deep cross court into the backhand, and LIM Jonghoon takes the game, fired up. He's gonna come into game 4, down only 1-2. This match suddenly is anybody's match. Still a little ways to go for LIM Jonghoon, but look at that. After the last 2 games were averaged, what, 5.5 points? Half the score of his opponent? What a turnaround. So left-handedness, you know, different left-handed players have different strategies. Franziska beat the last 2. He's got potentially the biggest one yet, at least from a power standpoint. Christian Carlsen's a lot taller than he looks on the court, but was just completely shut down today by Franziska.
But Franziska was playing Christian Carlsen more in his backhand, was shutting him down in the backhand, and he couldn't do his game. He was forced to. He was stuck there. But now I can see Franziska is changing a little bit the strategy, and he's trying to play him in the forehand. But LIM Jonghoon somehow he's waiting there for him. He's prepared for the forehand shot.
This is where tactics have to change a little bit. We saw some very smart play from Timo Boll earlier against Maharu Yoshimura. Playing short to the forehand, deep to the backhand. Occasional fast, long serves. Soft hands for from Franziska. Keep that receive half long. That point right there was unfortunate for LIM Jonghoon. Has the ball sitting up a little bit. Normally makes that shot, and we've seen how much power and spin he can get on his backhand. Well handled for the reverse pendulum receive. Looked like he was out of the point, chasing the ball wide with the forehand. What appears to be a flat hit back. Probably just a little bit of topspin. There it is, sure. Rack it up and over the ball, even that short stroke.
He's prepared for that deep forehand.
Yeah, he's really using his wingspan well on that side. 4 in a row for LIM Jonghoon. First 2 points to Franziska. What a turnaround. When you think about the points, I mean, the world rankings in difference between the players that LIM Jonghoon has beaten, Zhuang Ziyu and Marcos Freitas. But Franziska's in a similar situation. He comes in with a low world ranking.
Come on, 3-4. Try.
Franziska trying to be his own home crowd for a moment, pump himself up a little bit with the chole. Seems to be working, definitely fired up.
Sorry. 4-5.
Back into the table. Hear the crowd shouting, "Fighting!" Korean cheer.
6-4.
Clever idea. Just long from the middle of the table, almost parallel. Not the easiest shot. A little bit on the forehand side, tries to play it down the line. Interesting how the camera angle changes so much our perspective. I guess literally. There it is. The short game leaves it one more time on the table when Franziska wasn't expecting it. Gets a popped up ball, steps in for the backhand rip. It's a limited time opportunity and he rushes in for it.
Sorry. 5-7.
A few points now so far for Franziska that have been pretty crucial points.
I was wondering what happened to playing in his backhand. That Franziska plays in LIM Jonghoon's backhand. In the previous games, he had a high rate of success, and here also at the beginning, but then somehow he started to change.
Left. 5-7.
Yeah, let's see what happens here. Let's see what it is that LIM Jonghoon has been doing to shut down the game plan.
5-8.
There's a point played to the backhand for a winner. Took several shots to get there.
Probably the spin that LIM Jonghoon is giving is not allowing Franziska to send the ball in his backhand.
Left. 5-8. Come on. 9-5.
say that's definitely a spot to play against Lim Jonghoon. His backhand.
10-5.
I would agree with you. I think the combination and the specifics on the shot are definitely going to be factors. Franziska, for the last several points, has been in solid form, up 10-5 now.
6-10.
While Lim Jonghoon has had several big backhands for winners, compared to his forehand, there's no question about which side you'd rather face. Solid touch, 2 points saved, and it's a timeout by Jorg Roskopf in the corner for Franziska. So thinking about serve and receive here. Again, the most important shots in the rally. Lim Jonghoon was playing quite well when he was playing patiently and putting heavy spin on the ball. I think last game there were several times he shortened up the ball, sort of invested in winning the point a little bit later in the rally.
다른 것보다는 계속 이걸 넣으니까 지금 네가 여기서 하고 그 다음에 이제 네가 잘하는 게 나와야 되는데 여기서 지금 2구에서 지금 안 되잖아.
What's he saying, Yulia?
회전이니까 그거를
You're
너무
the expert in
늦춰서
Korean,
이렇게
you
하지
tell me.
말고 위에서 빨리.
Well, I guess we've both put each other under the Korean translator pressure.
다닥 짧게 놓을 수 있으면 놓고 아니면은 못
You're the
놓겠으면
expert in
이렇게 해봐.
Asian languages.
회전 놓고 제가
I heard you
세게
speak a
친단
little
말이야.
bit in English,
네
in
공이
I do
Chinese.
speak a little bit in English.
Yeah, in English a
from time
little
to
bit. No, in English too much.
time. Maybe. Yeah, no, I wouldn't fancy myself an expert at all. Lee Song-soo there up in the right. Shaved his head. He's in service right now for the military. Hey, look, we're on camera. There's that little Lee Song-soo smile.
7-10.
Love it. Love it. Wow.
10-8.
From the banana to the follow-up counterattack with the backhand from Franziska for Lim Jonghoon to save this point. It was only earlier today in the quarterfinal against Marcos Freitas. From down 5-10, he came back. And it's the same score here from 5-10, but it's now 8-10. So he's still got a little ways to go. The 20-year-old Korean player on screen. Outstanding shot in the counter from the backhand of Patrick Franziska to take it 11-8 over Lim Jonghoon, and it silences the crowd. I mean, the crowd really wants to get behind Lim Jonghoon. And in the future, whether it's this coming game or whether it's years to come, I believe they will have their opportunities. But talking about being present, as Christian and I were earlier, this is now. They want to see it now.
너한테 잘 묶어버리고 돌리고 하는 거. 그리고 같이 이렇게 짧게 놓을 때
It
있잖아.
takes time
같이
to
짧게
reach a
놓을 때는
certain
제가
level,
안 튀겨.
but
쟤도 떨어져 있기
sometimes
때문에 안 튀긴단
the
말이야.
audience
이렇게
or
이렇게 놓지. 근데 너도 같이
the coaches,
떨어져 있으니까
they
안 되잖아.
expect now.
붙어 있다가 아까 두 개
And
잘 놓고 나서
yeah,
이거
it's
했지.
hard.
그런 게
Anyway, he
나와야지.
did a very good result
리시브
this
같은
tournament and
경우는
in
탁
the
튀기지. 같이
in the
짧게 놓을
last
때는 쟤도
period,
떨어져 있기
so-
때문에.
anyway he
못 튀긴다고.
had
근데
a lot
너도
of chance the
같이 이렇게
previous set,
해버리니까.
the previous game. So we will
붙어 있다가
see now
수능이 나와야 된다.
how confident he will come
서비스
back
이
to the
스트레이트
table.
좀 넣어보고. 한 세트 뽑아봐. 한 세트 뽑으면 또 기회가 온다고.
You know, watching,
리시브 때 좀
Yulia's been
적극적으로
here
해봐.
since about 8:30 this morning, so it's been a long day of competition, I understand. I came in slightly later, but yes, with Christian, with yourself, this is the 8th match in a row with very little break. And for the players, it's the second match for both of these players today. Whereas yesterday, they didn't have the same pressure. They had more time to rest up. And there's been a new format for ITTF on the World Tour. On the final day, only 4 matches will be played. So unless you're playing in 2 separate finals, like the doubles and the singles, you will only have to play 1 match on the final day if you make it that far. That's your reward for playing so well. What were we talking about right before we got into the hour that you arrived here?
I don't remember. Can we?
Well, you're in good company here.
2-1.
Well, there was talk about the pressure from the coaches. That whole the audience wants it now. But I mean, so does Lim Jonghoon, right? This is a great opportunity. He's in the semifinal for the men's singles.
For sure, he's eager to have a good result and to assure his place in the national team.
Right. See, there's a lot more at stake than simply winning this title in world rankings. I mean, while many countries already have their teams do their sending to the world championships, this is sort of defining your future. You know, it's a lot of people say, why didn't Ma Long play the Olympics in 2012 in singles? And sometimes it's just one match under pressure that you lose, and coaches think, yeah, I don't know if it's worth the risk. I don't know if we can send that player. So this is a good opportunity for Lim Jonghoon to sort of make himself a real presence here in the Korean national team. Whoa, what a point. From down low on the forehand side, we've got the touch shots. Franziska getting way low. He's a big guy, too. Let's see if we get to see it. Here it is. That shot comes across the body a little bit. It's incredible play from both players. But Franziska is the better of the two this point. And looking at the scoreboard overall, this match definitely has an edge, but is still trailing in this game.
4-3.
Finding the middle hasn't been easy for opponents to do against Lim Jonghoon. Again, surprising considering his size. But between the two, Franziska's the bigger player and is still playing a bit faster and more consistently. It's playing like the opposite of a player who's coming off an injury.
4-5.
Don't know if the shot was there. Seemed like a pretty low ball to go for the forehand flip kill.
I think he didn't choose right this ball. He didn't choose right to make a flip.
Tough to say. I mean, hindsight, right? Always 20/20. Watching it if he makes that. Oh, man, and then he makes shots like this. Had he missed that shot, we would have said, wow, that was a bit ambitious, but he comes off with it. Very aggressive, very confident. Fast into the backhand. Just a 1-2, knock him down. To set him up and knock him down, long serve combination. That was the backhand you were talking about, Yulia.
Indeed.
5-6.
And the long service as well. I was mentioning earlier today that every time more men are using this long serve, which before was used mainly for the female players, by the female players.
Yeah, I'm very interested in looking back at that.
안 돌려 카트하잖아. 그 생각하고 이쪽으로 넣을 때는 깎아서 완전히 저쪽으로 넣어봐. 그러면 올릴 거 아니야.
Okay, Yulia's asking me to translate. I could get creative here and take my guesses.
기다렸다 탁 눌러든지 아니면 돌아서서 걸든지.
If you win this match, you're getting bibimbap tonight and the best meal ever.
괜찮아 지금.
It's probably not what he's saying exactly.
지구전
It might have more to do with moving and favoring, moving maybe more toward the center of the table.
될수 있으면은 그러니까
See, as a left-handed player who wants to favor the forehand too much, you get pinned out on the backhand. Franziska's backhand cross-court is just too confident and strong.
이박자대로 치는 게 나와야 돼.
Let's see if we see service movement, meaning if Lim Jonghoon moves to the center of the table a little bit more to mix up his service placement, his receive game. I mean, usually this has to be most of the discussion. First two shots.
5-6.
So from up 4-2, now down 5-6. Out of the timeout, we'll see how Lim handles.
7-5.
That serve felt very lukewarm. I mean, Franziska, meaning sort of mediocre, right? The speed wasn't anything specific. The placement didn't seem low enough to bother Franziska. Maybe some of these long serves you're talking about from time to time, baseline of the table in the middle. But now the serves are gone. It's back to Franziska. There we go, some aggression early in the point. Trying to put Franziska a bit on the defense. But look at their positioning. Franziska's still right at the table. Misses that shot, but he's got Lim Jonghoon away. Nice initiative again, going for it over the table. These are the bold shots that we've seen throughout this tournament from Lim. There's the Chiquita. For those of you at home wondering why use the backhand from that side of the table, generate a lot more spin with all the wrist action.
It's also easier to get under the ball with the backhand. From the forehand, the angle you have in forehand, probably it's more difficult, but from here it's easier to control it.
Yeah, I think of wrist flexibility and trying. See how far you can bend your wrist on the forehand side. Big point for Franziska to tie it up. Lim was on the run there. A streak to get the crowd alive. If he can take this game, the crowd will be fully behind him. Not to say that they're not right now, but still, when you give them a reason to cheer, they wake up, they come to life. Just sort of like Lim Jonghoon has in the last few points before this last one. There it is again. And this is the use of a soft shot. Play it short on the table so that the next ball you can load up. Franziska comes in just a little late, leaves it a little high, and it's enough for Lim Jonghoon to take the powerful over-the-table backhand. There's a surprise long serve. Franziska's been effective. Reverse pendulum deep on the table surprises Lim Jonghoon. You can see he was setting up for that backhand, looking for the Chiquita to come in. Slightly softer spinny shot, and it is match point for Patrick Franziska of Germany. Second serve for Lim.
Left. 9-10.
Let's service against match point. Just missing the table. Huge shot, Franziska. What a point to finish on. And a quick high five to Coach Jörg Roskopf. Outstanding finish. And a very graceful handshake. He says, great match, good playing. Pumps his fist and continues his tournament. It is going to be an all-German men's singles final tomorrow right here at Namdong Gymnasium.
That will be very interesting to watch tomorrow. The German final just 1 month before the World Championships in Germany.
Right, and especially considering the list of players here in Korea that showed up for this tournament. It's a bit of a surprise. Timo Boll, not as surprising, but Patrick Franziska, what a performance. Only player who could stop Lim Jonghoon. So keep your eyes on Lim Jonghoon. He'll be coming up a lot in the world rankings after this tournament. Wouldn't be surprised to see him more and more on the world tour. Under 21 men's singles champion, and stopped in the semifinal against Patrick Franziska. So we'll see what happens. Hope you've enjoyed today. It's been 10 outstanding matches, and we're gonna have 4 more tomorrow, starting at 2 local time in Korea. You've been watching the Seamaster 2017 ITTF World Tour Korea Open. I'm Adam Bobrow with Yulia Nekula. Nekula, sorry about that. And we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. It was a pleasure for me to be here.
Pleasure to have you. See you guys tomorrow.